milestone birthdays, even corporate events. Elevate every event with Noble Catering, a premier craft caterer in southeastern Wisconsin, preferred by over 30 venues. Noble Catering is also the exclusive caterer of Villa Terrace, an east side event treasure. And coming in 2026, Noble's new headquarters, a 400-person event venue in the heart of Bayview called Brixton's Turn. Book them for your event at noblecateringco.com.
Tune in to KBN every day at 2 o'clock. 94.5 ESPN is WKTI and WKTI HD, Milwaukee.
A locally owned Good Karma brand station.
What you need to know for every game to make your best bets. Will you fade or will you follow? Welcome to the Weekly Wager. Broadcasting live from the Potawatomi Sportsbook Studios in Milwaukee. Alongside Ben Brust and Jen Latta, here's Greg Matzik.
Weekly Wager coming to you. I'm Josh DiMaggio, alongside Tony Cartagena. None of the usual hosts are here. We're here to take over. You recognize Tony, and you will recognize Tony's. If you listen to the show regular, we usually have Thanalysis following us every single week here after the Weekly Wager. And I'm feeling a little sad. Not totally sad, but this is the final Weekly Wager before a little break and a reboot to get going for the baseball season. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Yeah, I think this might be the only show on ESPN Wisconsin I haven't done over the course of the last 4 or 5 years. In some capacity, one way or another. So super excited to be here with you, Josh. Sometimes, I've been in this room for, at Potawatomi Casino Hotel. We've done Thanalysis live watch-alongs in this room. We've recorded some major interviews in this room.
Yes.
And now we get to talk about the good stuff, which I'm super excited for. So let's start off right off the bat. Tonight's Brewers game, Josh, I'm all excited. Let's get things going. We got the Miz on the mound, Mizorowski. What's the update? What are the lines? What are we looking like tonight?
Well, I got some bad news, Tony, and I don't want to bring you more bad news, but this is a post 28 minutes ago from the Milwaukee Brewers Twitter account. Due to inclement weather, tonight's game versus the Chicago Cubs at Wrigley Field has been postponed. The game will be played as part of a split doubleheader at Wrigley Field on August 18th, with the makeup game scheduled to begin at 1:20 p.m. Now, our original spot where we were going to start was about this game. We've got the young phenom, the Miz on.
I was already looking. Strikeouts were, I think it was minus 117 to go over 3.5.
Yes.
I was dialed into tonight's game.
Yeah, I was eyeing the over 5.5 at plus 170. I was even finding some fun combo bets that you could make for the game.
Did you see the total runs was set at 8?
Yes.
That was easy last night.
I was eyeing the under. And now here we stand. But we're still going to talk a little bit Brewers because this is a very important, as important as any series can be. In June for the Milwaukee Brewers, they're facing the National League Central leading Cubs. So let's take a look here first at the numbers for the division winner. This number has fluctuated as the season has gone. It'll go up and down as we see either the lead grow or shrink for either of the teams. Mm-hmm. But the obvious one is the Chicago Cubs. They start out at minus 500 favorites. They're followed by the Brewers at plus 800. The St. Louis Cardinals plus 1,000. The Cincinnati Reds plus 2,500 along with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now, minus 500 is a big number at this point of the season. The lead right now for the Brewers is only 6.5 games. Obviously, they dropped their first game against the Cubs, making that lead 6.5. So there isn't a ton of space there. But the book here at Potawatomi Sportsbook, the wonderful people, are telling us that it looks like the Cubs might be bell-to-bell leaders in this division.
Look, I'm the biggest Brewer fan as you're going to find. We were here, opening day, looking at some stuff season long. I'm heavily invested in the ESPN Wisconsin Kyle Bruston Nortman season long 83.5 over for wins. The Chicago Cubs lost their, let's just call him ace, one of their top 2 pitchers in Justin Steele this season, and they are still making it look easy. I think they won 12 series in a row at one point. They're 12-6 in one-run games this year, so they know how to deliver. Their pitching has held up. Their bats are incredible. Early in the season, everyone's like, oh, Kyle Tucker's an MVP. They have to re-sign him to $500 million. Pete Crow Armstrong is the MVP of that team and possibly the MVP of the National League.
Short of Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah,
in the non-Shohei Ohtani category.
Exactly. So, look, the Cubs are good. I hate to admit that as a Brewers fan. The Cubs are really good. Even at, what was it, plus 800 the Brewers are to win the division, and the Cubs are minus 500. I'm still putting money on the Cubs there if I'm looking at that. I'm probably not going to touch it myself.
No.
But the Cubs have a pretty safe route to wrapping up that division, and the Brewers, kind of as expected going into this year, when they did make some moves in the offseason, fighting for the wild card spot. And I think everyone here will be happy with another playoff performance. I will be happy as long as they get to that over 83.5.
Yes.
Which we are invested in here at the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
Yes, we made that bet. We discussed it hotly on the Weekly Wager I shouldn't say many months ago, a few months ago when we brought it up. Ben gathered all the money. People started to almost want to jump ship on that number. I think as we've seen the Brewers go throughout the season, the offense pick up. Some of the young...
Are there people selling their stake in this? Because I will invest.
I don't think they're selling their stake, but, some of the newer gamblers of the bunch, because we like to bring people into our community, us people here who are eyeing these things every single season.
Mm-hmm.
The rough start for the Brewers had some people ready to jump ship. I believe Brad was nervous. Brad Nortman from KBN was nervous about it on Game 4.
They started off 0-4, but I just paint this picture that I have painted, Josh, right?
Yes.
It's September. Who knows when? Weeknight. The Brewers just got their 83rd win of the season the night before. We're here gathered in a booth at the Potawatomi Casino Sportsbook. We're having a watch party.
Yep.
We're watching that. And then if they lose that game, we have another one the night after. And we're going to be watch partying it up here at the Sportsbook until they get that 84th win to bring us into the money. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm not sweating the over 84 wins really at all at this point. The Brewers do need to perform well, but we've seen flashes of a team that I think is growing, getting better and playing better as a cohesive unit. The runs at times can seem hard to come by, but that's certainly improved from they were setting records. Was it in earlier this month or maybe last month?
I think May they were shut out like 5 times. They scored 3 runs over the course, maybe 4 runs over the course of a series earlier this month. Look, it's feast or famine with this team. They can put up 17 against the Phillies, or they get blanked by Team XYZ here. At one point, I think they were one of the wins that the Rockies had when they only had 6 or so wins in the year. But the run line tonight was 8. I know you were eyeing the under just because it was on the mound, but I was looking at just the recent hitting of this team, thinking like, all right.
Yep.
Each team gets 4. Like I was looking at going the over on the 8 there on that one. So I am pretty confident in the team going forward for sure. Yeah.
So the one thing that had us so excited about tonight, obviously, Cubs Brewers series anytime is going to be a good time, a fun series, something we're excited about. But the young phenom, one of the best prospects in all of baseball, we saw him start his MLB career just last week with the Brewers, throwing 5 shutout innings, getting a cramp, rolling his ankle, and smartly getting pulled from the game. So one, good sign to see him back scheduled at his normal start, no time missed, no nothing. So all potential issues avoided there, but he was going to be pitching tonight against the Cubs. The one thing I want to point out, and I found this interesting, the National League Rookie of the Year has odds right now. Right now it's Drake Baldwin leading the way. And then fourth on that list is your very own Jacob Mizorowski at plus 900. Yes. I think what we saw is a guy come out and impress. He certainly was a little juiced up, not totally in or around the strike zone as much as he would like to be, but you figure that's the emotions. You're in front of the home crowd. You're all jacked up. He's out there throwing 102 just time and time and time again. So
didn't he break? I think his first pitch, he broke the Brewers record for this season.
Yes.
And then pitches 2 and 3, he continued to break his very own record. Not to cut you off there, Josh, but I was just looking. You brought up he's third at plus 900.
Yep.
7th for NL Rookie of the Year. His teammate Chad Patrick at plus 1200. Man, if he would have got that win yesterday, that win-loss is looking pretty good for him. Like that's a fun one, but also if you're a fan of the Brewers and you have 2 rookie pitchers in the top 7 in terms of odds here at Potawatomi for the NL Rookie of the Year, you got to feel pretty good about that pitching staff and where this team could be headed in the next 2-3 seasons.
Yeah, so the interesting thing is last week after the game on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy, we looked at the number for Rookie of the Year because I figured the Miz would make an appearance on it, and he was in line with Chad Patrick, and I think people were impressed enough, and they started seeing some money here that they had to move it to plus 900.
Yeah.
So that has moved, at this point, 300 points. A big start this week would have gone a long way for that. The one exciting thing I did see, I believe it was Kurt Hogg tweeted it out, that there is potential that if things stay as they are, that next week would be a Paul Skeens, Jacob Mizorowski matchup against the Pittsburgh Pirates.
The radar guns are going to need extra batteries. That's wild. That'd be a very fun one to see. Just there is somewhere here we could talk to some people to figure out the over under just for pitches that go above 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure we could figure that out. You mentioned earlier, we were kind of joking with the Cubs and the Brewers series happening right now, Pete Crow Armstrong being one of the possible NL MVP candidates. I just looked here at the sports book, and Shohei, it's not even close. It's minus 670.
Yeah.
He has better odds than the Cubs do to win the division this year. But Armstrong is second. Guess what his plus is?
I'm going to say plus 1,700.
2,000.
Oh!
Pretty close there.
Yes.
So, Shohei minus 670 and PCA from the Cubs plus 2,000. That's an easy one.
Yeah, I'll look around the rest of the league, and the one thing that we didn't talk about really was going into the season, it seemed like if the Brewers were going to make the playoffs, they needed to win the NL Central. Now, you look at teams that were expected to have pretty good years, teams like, the Giants, teams like the Braves, teams that haven't performed maybe to the standard that some people had set prior to the season. I mean, the Arizona Diamondbacks are down there to win their division at plus 5,000. The Padres are plus 2,000. So these teams are playing well, but they're not playing as good as we thought. So the Brewers don't need to win the division. And if there was a possibility of to make the playoffs, because I know there was one of those earlier in the year, I forget the exact total on it, but I feel pretty good at this point of the season with the added juice of Mizorowski on the mound. Hopefully Brandon Woodruff makes his way back. Freddie Peralta is just Freddie Peralta.
He's solid. He's a very solid pitcher.
Doing what you expect of him every week. The Brewers weathered the storm of all the injured pitchers pretty well, and as these guys get healthy and work their way back into the rotation, I only expect things to keep improving for them. So I'm bullish on this team. I feel good about the 83.5. Not so good about winning the division, but hey, 6.5 games in at this point of the season is not insurmountable. It would take some good fortune and some streaks of bad play from the Cubs, but it's definitely out there. I'm not going to make a bet on it. I'm going to let the Cubs win it, and I'm going to focus on the postseason at this point.
Speaking of making bets in the postseason, so we can talk about the Cubs obviously in very good position to win the NL Central. Brewers at plus 800. But if you look at the National League, and this isn't going to be our big bet later in the show, but this one very much intrigues me. So to win the National League, the Dodgers are plus 125. All right, that makes sense. They're obviously loaded. The Mets come in at second at plus 450. Then right after that is the Chicago Cubs at plus 500. And with their ability to also weather a pitching storm.
It's actually 600 there, not to correct you.
We got to get those eyes checked. We got an optometrist endorsement anywhere. Someone send that over. That's my bad. Plus 600 for the Chicago Cubs. I don't hate that for them.
No.
In terms of just the ability to win the NL, I like to look at future bets more than anything, just because then you can track things over the course of a season. And playing at rig, I don't know. I just look at that as just all right, they're obviously a very good team. And the odds here show it because just 2 away, the San Diego Padres, who play the Dodgers very well, especially in the postseason, as we learned last year, they're plus 1,200. They double them up there.
Yeah, the interesting thing with the National League is the Dodgers are such a singular type of team. They are the dream team, but brought to baseball. They have talent top to bottom. They have every good prospect. They have every good pitcher. What makes it unique is there is probably a stated value and an understanding of, hey, plus 600 on a team that's as good as the Cubs have been this year is probably a good number to get in, because when it comes to 7-game series, obviously, what is it, 7 out of 10 times you're picking the Dodgers to win that.
For sure.
But things could go your way. They could suffer an injury. They could lose. Who knows what happens. Without Shohei Ohtani, they're still an incredibly good team. but they're not as scary as they are when you look at that lineup. So there is potential there, and you're taking on some risk, but putting a couple shekels on the Cubs plus 600, I wouldn't call you crazy for it.
I would feel better about that for them to win the NL than I would putting money, and once again, this isn't a shot at them, than putting money on the Brewers to win the NL Central for sure at plus 800. So
yeah,
it's just the way the numbers look. It's just one of those things where just like if you told me, hey, the Cubs under Craig Counsell are going to be representing the National League in the World Series this year, I wouldn't call you insane.
I agree with you there.
Man, I really wanted to get into tonight's Brewers game and really get I
had a whole half a sheet of notes here.
All right, hit me with your spark notes, because I wanted, you did the time, you did the homework. They're going to play this game as part of a doubleheader in August, which we can talk about road tripping later. But just pretend the Brewers were playing tonight if you're just tuning in. They're not. The game's been postponed due to inclement weather.
Yes.
But Josh did the work, and I want to give you 30 seconds here before break to kind of just give me the notes.
I had a bet I was really excited to talk about, and you can still find these at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. You can find them for a lot of the games. It was pairing Jacob Mizorowski over 5.5 strikeouts with the Brewers to win money line. That was plus 375. A little parlay there. You're getting plus odds, a number you would like. I was looking at Jamison Talion. I don't know how to pronounce his name. That was their starting pitcher. The under on 4.5 Ks was a number I also liked, and I was a really big fan of William Contreras over 1.5 total bases plus 150.
I like that one a lot.
I expect him to sort of return to form and just be as good as he was last year at some point here, and he's slowly getting better, slowly improving. I think I don't want to be late to the sort of explosion from Contreras.
I know we're getting to break. This isn't an inside tip here, but he hasn't been as good as the plate as he's been in years past. And when we sat down with Pat Murphy on Thanalysis, which you can find on the ESPN Wisconsin app, he told us that Contreras' finger has been broken for the better part of about a year and a half, and he's just not doing anything about it because he wants to play baseball every day, which good for you, but also if his numbers are down a little bit, I think having a broken finger is a pretty good excuse.
Better with him than they are without him.
For sure.
All right, coming up next, we're going to talk a little NFL. Jair's a Raven. Ed Policy's talking about will the Packers be in Green Bay?
What are the odds on the Packers moving? Give me some of that action.
We'll talk about it all coming up next on the Weekly Wager.
More bets coming up. This is the Weekly Wager on 94.5 ESPN. You remember the moments from that magical March.
Side Decker. It's a three. Got it!
On June 26th, celebrate the squad with Made 'em Believe. A special night with Bo Ryan, Frank Kaminsky, and Sam Decker.
Here's Kaminsky. The drop step. That's his favorite. And the two.
Presented by Bud Light, Michelob Ultra, Potosi Varsity Ale, and Potosi Hard Seltzer. Tickets are on sale now at UWHoops2015.com. Made 'em Believe. June 26th at the Orpheum Theater in Madison.
At Grunberg Law Offices, we take great pride in helping those who have trusted us after a serious accident. Our team has the knowledge, resources, and experience to get you the results you deserve. Don't wait to get the help you need. Make the right call. Call Grunberg Law Offices today. Proud partner of your Milwaukee Bucks. One call, that's all.
Hi, Drew and Jonathan Scott here, reminding you that a lot of life's firsts are better with help from American Family Insurance. Like your first home expansion or your first big lightning strike. There's a first for everything. Get the right home policy at the right price with the right help from American Family's agents. Life's better when you're under American Family's roof. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company SI and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Buying a new roof might not be the most exciting thing you'll do this year, but for us at Big Fish Contracting, being chosen to do that roof for you not only provides income for multiple families in southeastern Wisconsin, but has a global reach and impact around the world. To us, it's more than just a roof. We've been earning trust for over 2 decades, roofing, siding, windows, and more. Go to bigfishcontracting.com to learn how Big Fish is renovating homes and redeeming an industry.
Hey, it's Kyle Walsh, and if you're a homeowner like me, you know how it goes. There's always a project that needs attention, and sometimes the big ones, like replacing old windows, get pushed to the bottom of the list. But I'm telling you, this is the time to finally check that box with Universal Windows Direct. They're running their home improvement season sale, and the offer is just too good to pass up. You can get payments as low as $99 a month or no payments and no interest for an entire year. Call 414-410-2000 or go to universalwindowsdirect.com.
It's ESPN Wisconsin's Ben Bruss talking about our friends at Road America, America's National Park of Speed. Get out of your house this summer and go to Road America, located conveniently between Green Bay and Milwaukee and Elkhart Lake. Come see a race at the legendary 4-mile, 14-turn road circuit that has hosted some of the best races since 1955. IndyCar XPEL Grand Prix is up next on June 19th through the 22nd. Camp on site all weekend and enjoy free admission for kids 16 and under with a paying adult at the gate. Come for the experience and stay for the race. Get your tickets at roadamerica.com.
Save big on everything for your next project when you shop at Menards. Atlas Pinnacle shingles prevent black streaks with Scotch Guard Protector by 3M for the life of the roof. Plus, they have enhanced hail impact resistance, and their super wide design saves on installation time and labor. Choose from 13 stylish color options and upgrade your roof today. Visit us in-store or on Menards.com and shop our great selection of Atlas roofing products.
Save big money at Menards.
Whether you're a local who wants to enjoy a night out or you're planning to visit Milwaukee, enjoy an artfully stylish experience at St. Kate the Arts Hotel, conveniently located in the heart of downtown Milwaukee's Theater District. With deluxe accommodations, culinary creativity, on-site art galleries, artist in residence, and nightly live music, you'll enjoy every element of your stay at St. Kate. Learn more and book your stay at stkatearts.com.
This is the Weekly Wager live from Potawatomi Sportsbook on 94.5 ESPN and at ESPN Milwaukee on YouTube.
The Green Bay Packers offered a contract comparable with what the Ravens contract was offered. Would he still be a Packer today?
Yes.
That voice you just heard, aside from Kyle Wallace, was Jair Alexander's father, who joined KBN earlier today. Check that out on the ESPN Wisconsin app, on YouTube, wherever you listen to KBN or any of the wonderful programs across ESPN Wisconsin. And I wanted to play that because I want to start with a conversation about the NFL holistically. We're going to take a short break after this program here today, and then we'll come back, and it's going to be pretty much all NFL all the time, right up until the regular season. So let's start out here with the Jair conversation. As we know, he joined the Ravens today. It is a $4 million contract with incentives for up to $6 million. I believe the final incentive for him, I saw in a tweet, is only 50% of games played, and he gets that extra $2 million. One thing, obviously, that is quite a low number. As you heard Jair's father say, that had he gotten a similar offer, understanding business is business, the Packers are the Packers, the NFL is the way it is, that he would have taken that number. And it seems like the Green Bay Packers really never had an intention of him joining them at all. The important thing to look at, and this number hasn't moved, so we don't. A player of Jair's caliber, as good as he is, multiple All-Pro nominations, isn't really going to move a Super Bowl odds line, an individual odds line. The only thing that really does that is quarterbacks. So the Baltimore Ravens have the second best odds behind the Philadelphia Eagles to win the Super Bowl. Of note, the Green Bay Packers are plus 2,000. They are in line with the Cincinnati Bengals. That is followed directly behind by the Washington Commanders, plus 1,700. The 49ers, plus 1,600. The Lions, plus 900. And the Chiefs at fourth place at plus 750. If I were to ask you today, other than your homerism and your love of the Green Bay Packers, what team do you like sort of as your Super Bowl pick as we sit here on June 18th?
So it's hard, obviously, to do anything that doesn't say go with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yes.
However, I do think just right now, obviously way too early in the season, if I had to pick a Super Bowl matchup right now, I would look at the Buffalo Bills playing the Detroit Lions in the Super Bowl next year. I think both of those teams are top 2 in their respective conferences to make it to the Super Bowl. It makes the most sense right now for the way that those teams are stacked up. Obviously, there are some. Let's just be honest. The Bills have to go through a tough AFC. A lot of really good quarterbacks there, and the Lions have to adjust to life without their top 2 defensive coordinators in Ben Johnson and Glenn leaving for head coaching jobs. So on paper, that all looks great. Like, those are the 2 teams I would pick. Obviously, I love the Packers, want them to be there. I don't think they're anywhere near a Super Bowl this season. That's just my personal opinion. The odds would say that as well, with them being plus 2,000. Real quick note for you, Josh. I just looked at, you can basically get odds on anything here at this point at Potawatomi Sportsbook. Defensive Player of the Year, Jair Alexander, plus 25,000, and then Comeback Player of the Year, Jair Alexander, plus 8,000. So probably not going to get any postseason accolades from the former Green Bay Packer who just signed with the Ravens today. But the NFL is so weird, because I can sit here today on June 18th and say, yeah, it should be the Bills playing the Lions in the Super Bowl, and then someone turns an ankle and you're depleted in your depth chart at the wrong time, or you're playing in bad weather and a kick goes sideways, and things are completely changed. And that's the beauty excuse me, that is the beauty of the NFL.
Yeah, so the next number I want to take a look at, if I were to pick one team I like just based on the number you can get, is the 49ers. And I know everyone's down on the 49ers.
I was going to say them.
But plus 1,600, that's a number I'm looking at. They still have boatloads and boatloads of talent, and they let some talent go. I think injuries didn't go their way. The season didn't start their way. And they ended up having what was a disappointing season, but the Kyle Shanahan factor, Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, Juwan Jennings, Nick Bosa, you could just rattle off a list of guys.
I was going to say, when you look at positions and you look at teams, obviously
I didn't even say
Purdy,
George Kittle, the best tight end in all the NFL.
I think they have the best tight end in the NFL, one of the best defensive ends, arguably the best linebacker who just got paid like Fred Warner, and then you have weapons on the outside for Brock Purdy. Like, the 49ers are an amazingly run organization. They always retool, rebuild, and are in contention, 8 out of every 10 seasons. I really like them. I do think that they can go a long way in the NFC.
Let's move over to the NFC North. To win the division, the Detroit Lions, as we all expect, are plus 120. The Green Bay Packers plus 275, followed by the Minnesota Vikings plus 425, and the Chicago Bears plus 475. Now, you gave your opinion on the Packers not being a Super Bowl team, but at plus 275, is that a number you would look at for the Green Bay Packers and say, hey, maybe things don't go so well with replacing Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn? Maybe Jared Goff doesn't look like the Jared Goff he's looked like, because, let's be honest, the Jared Goff we've become used to in recent memory is only ever with Ben Johnson. There is a factor there, and the other time he looked really good was when Sean McVay was in his headphones telling him what coverage he had, the guy he should look for to come open in his route.
That was still like the worst Super Bowl performance of all
time.
Right,
because Bill Belichick knew that and changed up the defense and confused them when they knew that the play clock was running down and they had to change that. So there is a number of plus 275 for the Green Bay Packers. Is that worth it to you, or do you still think they're a year away?
No, I'm flirting with it. I'm flirting with it hard. I'm giving it all the smiles, the winky face emoji, the whole deal. I'll feel a lot better about it after week 1 if the Packers can get a divisional win. The only reason that I have, in week 1, the Packers opened their season against the Detroit Lions. The only reason I have just a little bit of hesitancy, even though I have a flirtatious mindset with that line there, is Green Bay was 1-5 in the division last year. Like, that just scares me. They can take care of business out. They have a tough schedule. They got to see Jair and the Ravens. They got to see Rodgers and the Steelers and other teams that are obviously very good. And they didn't take care of business in their own division last year. And I don't think the Chicago Bears got worse. So, and they're a fingertip away, as crazy as that is. Now, granted, the Green Bay, I know they didn't play everyone in their final game against the Bears, and they had that defensive snafu. So it's probably good they went 1-5. That probably makes the most sense. It's still not great, so it gives me like a little bit of pause in wanting to go all in on them to win the division at plus 275, although I still don't feel bad about it. I don't think this team did a ton of growing up or a ton of building that roster over this offseason. However, plus 275 in a division that's got some question marks. Is J.J. McCarthy good? What's Caleb Williams going to be? And then how the Lions adjust. I don't hate the number. I really don't.
So the wonderful people here at Potawatomi Sportsbook have some interesting ways you can also bet the division where you can pair literally who ends at what seed. Here's an interesting
That's
one
what I'm
for you.
talking about.
Packers first and Detroit Lions second. You can get that bet at plus 575.
Oh, I'm in on that. Yep. That now you thought I was flirting before. Oh, now I'm sending good morning messages.
If you want
to the sports book.
If you want to get a little bit riskier, say we want to keep the Packers in first place, and say that the Detroit Lions have a disappointing fall out of the top two, you could get Packers first in the division in the NFC North, and second the Vikings at plus 900. That is also matched by at plus 1,500. I don't think we're going to go this route, but Packers first and Chicago Bears second. That is plus 1,500 as well.
I honestly like that one better than the Vikings. I don't think the Bears are bad. I was saying this a little bit last season, not that it matters at this point. I think Caleb Williams is good. And now that they do have Ben Johnson, who the Lions had, like I was looking at the odds and just the division overall, and the Bears were basically picked fourth at plus 475. At plus 1,500 for the Packers to go 1 and the Bears to go 2, obviously that's a fall off for the Lions. The Vikings, that's probably the spot they're going to be in. I don't think it's completely insane. I do think the Bears are good, or at least much better than I think us in Wisconsin really want to admit.
Here's one quick thing I want to leave you with. If you want to ride out the chalkier of the two options, the Lions first, Packers second is plus 450. The Packers first and the Detroit Lions, as we mentioned just a bit ago, is plus 575. If you feel confident it's going to be one of those two teams at the top and they're going to interchange it, you can put $10 on both.
On both
and
of them.
still end up plus money.
Yeah.
Now, you need a lot of things to go right. Let's not say this is, you're walking up and you're saying, well, I'm winning money regardless. Things happen throughout the course of an NFL season. We regularly see teams go from last to first in the division. I don't expect that to happen in the NFC North. I think we kind of know to a degree, with a lot of question marks, who's where and who belongs and, who might be still a step away. But either way, any of those numbers makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense, especially because you're probably going to walk away with a little something there. But the NFL is weird. Like
yes.
we talked about, how many seasons get derailed because a quarterback gets hit low.
Yep.
Like that happens. I won't use names, but let's just say that happens to a divisional quarterback.
Yep.
And they're done. We thought that as Packer fans at the end of the Philly opener last year. All the hopes and dreams were shattered when Love went down on that knee, and for 48 hours we thought he tore every ligament in there. So yeah, the NFL is weird. I think some of these lines are pretty fun. I would be surprised if 1-2 in the North isn't Green Bay, Detroit in some order, but weirder things have happened.
That is the truth. I've got a number I want to talk about, and we'll do it after this break. We'll dive deeper into Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs, and their player props. But I've got one here at plus 20,000 that I think might be a lot of fun.
20,000?
You heard it here. It's the weekly wager from Potawatomi. More next.
We're back talking bets after this on the Weekly Wager on 94.5 ESPN.
ESPN Radio Sports Beat with Freddie Coleman.
So what's it going to be? What's it going to be in Game 5 of the NBA Finals? Because we pretty much know anything can happen with this series tied at 2 involving the Indiana Pacers. They won Game 1 and Game 3. And the Oklahoma City Thunder, they won Game 2 and Game 4. It looked really, really bleak on Friday for the Thunder. And then Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had his star moment. So can he do it again? Can Tyrese Halliburton, who wasn't bad, wasn't good, wasn't bad in Game 4. Either way, this series, specifically Game 5, will be determined by the others, the T.J. McConnells, the Pascal Siakams. Oh, yeah, definitely the Jalen Williams, the Alex Carusos, just going down the line of somebody who may want to be a star, but is not a star yet, and they will decide Game 5. And they do decide Game 5, they will decide who's going to win the series. Having a star is great. Having stars are wonderful, but sometimes the others are the difference between winning and losing an NBA championship. In 60 seconds, hey, Shohei Ohtani, the beginning of being special again.
Need assistance with door and window projects? The Home Depot can help. From inspiration and materials to ordering and installation, our free Millwork virtual apron service can get you moving and doing. Plus, we speak Spanish too. Our associates can help you tackle complex jobs without you leaving the job site, saving you time and money. Call us at 1-833-HD-APRON or visit homedepot.com/MVA. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
There's nothing like when you get that part from eBay and it just fits. Yeah, the first time. So you can do less of this and get right back to more of this. At eBay, you'll find all the parts you need, guaranteed to fit, at prices you'll love. Sounds good, doesn't it? eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
So we get at least one inning of pitching when it comes to Shohei Ohtani because he was hell-bent to be that two-way player that we were used to seeing, had not seen because of the elbow injury, and now he wants to get back to being that full-square dude that we know and love in Major League Baseball. It's also amazing how one guy like this can get everybody's attention because he is that special and he is that great. For my money this year, the best player in baseball has been Aaron Judge of the New York Yankees. But still, the most special player in baseball is that guy on the opposite coast called Shohei Ohtani. He can run, he can field, he can hit, and for damn sure, he can throw. Especially he can throw 98 miles on the mound when he gets out there having a chance to pitch again. And the Dodgers have been really, really smart, just giving us piecemeal and giving him piecemeal options to make sure that he can get right and ready whenever he decides to really let it loose. So tonight could be the beginning of something special with an already special dude known as Shohei Ohtani of the Dodgers. For the ESPN Radio Sports Beat, I'm Freddie Coleman of ESPN Radio's Freddie and Harry.
Hi, I'm Brittany Miller from Big Frog Custom T-Shirts and more. Custom T-shirts, sweatshirts, jackets, hats, you name it, we can do it. Big Frog Custom T-Shirts and more is family-owned and all about celebrating life's big moments. Maybe it's a milestone birthday, a celebration for your child's first goal, or that work fundraising event. We are everyone's printer. No minimum orders, affordable designs, and help straight from me and our team. We're the one-stop shop for all your custom needs. Start your project today at bigfrog.com/Mequon.
The big gig is back, starting June 19th. 9 days, hundreds of musical acts. Summerfest in Milwaukee is the event of the summer. Plus, tune into 94.5 ESPN all 3 weekends for Summerfest Saturday. Enter for your chance to win tickets to the ESPN Wisconsin app or visit summerfest.com. We'll see you out there. You're listening to the Weekly Wager live from Potawatomi Sportsbook on 94.5 ESPN and at ESPN Milwaukee on YouTube.
Weekly Wager back with you. I'm Josh DiMaggio alongside Tony Cartagena for the final edition of this season of the Weekly Wager. We will be coming back to you sometime in August. A short little layoff, but we'll be back in time to talk all things Green Bay Packers, NFL, and of course, Milwaukee Brewers.
NFL preseason. Can't miss a number on those games.
There's one tip, and I'll always live by it. You bet on the Baltimore Ravens because John Harbaugh loves to win preseason games. I believe he has an impeccable record against the spread throughout his. I believe there's only been a 2 or 3 losses since he took over as the head coach.
You know how I know you're the perfect host for this show?
I
hope long-term people like Brian D are listening to what I'm about to say. The fact that you know that stat, I love a good, let's look at the numbers, let's look at the over-under, the run lines. Josh knows preseason coaching records against the spread. If that's not good enough for a full-time role here on the Weekly Wager, what are we doing at ESPN Milwaukee?
I appreciate that distinct compliment. It's also a little bit of a sickness, and I understand that. But these are the things I like to spend my time on.
We got people for that too, man. Whatever you need, we got you.
All right, I teased us out with a plus 20,000 bet. Now, that's usually a number you don't hear talked about when it comes to anything at a sports book. You're usually, to get those numbers, you're having to piece together like 8, 9, 10 leg parlays.
Wasn't that what I just said was Jair Defensive Player of the Year or something like that insane?
I think it was plus 25, or was it 15?
That's 25,000.
The number I like is plus 20,000, and you want to do a little bit of guessing and figure out where that number comes from and what I'm talking about.
All right, let's start with some simple yes or no questions here. Is it football?
Yes.
NFL?
Yes.
Green Bay Packers?
Yes.
So I think I know what this is, and it sounds wild. I got two thoughts in my mind. The first one is, let me say both of them first. The first one is Matthew Golden, Rookie of the Year, but that seems too high. And then my second thought is Edgerrin Cooper, Defensive Player of the Year, and that seems a little more realistic. So I'm going to go with the latter.
Ding, ding, ding.
Did I really get it?
On Edgerrin Cooper at plus 20,000 for Defensive Player of the Year. For context, Matthew Golden is only plus 1,500 for Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Okay.
He's behind names like Tyler Shuck, Amarian Hampton, Tedero McMillan, Travis Hunter, Cam Ward, and Ashton Jeanty. But the number I keyed on was Edgerrin Cooper plus 20,000.
Let's just add in, if Josh is the perfect host because he knows the records, for me to figure that out,
yeah, I'm impressed.
I'm the perfect host for the show as well.
I'm impressed with that as well. The other notable Packer on the Defensive Player of the Year list is Xavier McKinney at plus 10,000. Now, the names you expect at the top here are the obvious one. This award, the Defensive Player of the Year, generally, aside from a couple of the years recently, generally goes to the edge defenders because they have such an immediate impact on the game. They can get those high sack totals. They're on the field all the time, and they're usually impacting plays on a more frequent basis. Obviously, last year, Patrick Surtain won it, but that was
an anomaly, too.
Yes, that was largely a case of this guy was so good and so dominant that they gave it to him, and nobody really stuck out from the defensive end position. So Myles Garrett,
the league leader in sacks last year, doesn't even have a contract right now. So
Myles Garrett and Micah Parsons are both plus 700.
Okay.
Aiden Hutchinson, T.J. Watt are at plus 800, and then Will Anderson, Max Crosby, and Nick Bosa are all in the plus 1,200 to plus 1,500. The reason I like the Edgerrin Cooper number is because if this guy is as promised and is what we think he was, even better than Xavier McKinney at the end of last season. He was all over the field. He was making impact plays. The one thing he has in his benefit is I believe he's going to go from a guy, I believe he played around 45% of the snaps last year for the Green Bay Packers.
Okay.
I think he's going to be a near 100% of the time guy, save for any injuries that may come up against him. And that's a big part with these as well. And that's sort of what these numbers are telling us here as well. Like, we can't guarantee health for these guys, but the number I like is Edgerrin Cooper at plus 20,000 because he seems to be, and the league seems to believe, I believe there was a former scout and member of front office who said they believe him to be a future All-Pro. I think they plan to use Jeff Hafley's creativity. They plan to use him in a similar way as they did last year. They want him coming in and making plays in the pass rush. They want him just kind of find the ball, get the ball. You could see his tackle for lost numbers spike. You could see the sack number go up. If he's in like the 6, 7, 8 range by the end of the season, and he has, one pick six or a fumble, a forced fumble that impacts a game. Now, with this, generally, your team needs to perform.
As I said, the team has to be good. The Packers have to be a top. If he's a linebacker too, they have to be a top 2 seed in the NFC. The number is so wild that I feel like throwing money on it is fun.
Right.
And I don't think we can ignore the fact that Edgerrin Cooper was not once but twice, I believe, not just Rookie of the Week, Defensive Rookie of the Week in the NFL, but Defensive Player of the Week in the NFL, 2 out of the 17 weeks.
Yes.
And that's nothing to just
the last
be like,
person to do that
happened.
For the Green Bay Packers, Clay Matthews. Also a guy who you could probably
He
make.
probably should have won a Defensive Player of the Year.
Right, exactly. He was that good. And to be doing that as a rookie and a guy who every time they talked about him last season, they had compliments. And then directly after it was, he's still learning the game. Because he wasn't fully up to speed, which you expect for a rookie. As Packer fans, we know it takes a little while for some of those rookies to come along.
It's hard to adjust to.
Yes, and we live with the mistakes. We hate the mistakes, but you understand them. I think in year 2, you're going to see a lot less of that. You're going to see him and Quay Walker on the field next to each other a whole lot. At this point in the NFL, nickel with that extra defensive back, extra quarterback on the field is kind of the standard. So I love the Edgerrin Cooper number plus 20,000. You could also get Xavier McKinney at plus 10,000. That's a
I was gonna
fair.
say that one seems if he leads the league in interceptions, at least he has a chance at it.
Correct.
And the Packers
he probably has
too.
to take some back too. Like you need the anomalies to kind of set yourself apart. You need the good team with a good record, and you need like impact plays and big moments where, like Cooper DeJean scoring a touchdown in the Super Bowl-esque, where those things truly make like a total impact on the outcome of a season or on a specific game.
I think because one of the fun things about sports betting and sports gambling here, at the sportsbook is at Potawatomi is you can just throw a couple bucks on some things, especially if you do it with a group of friends, like at ESPN Milwaukee, right? So let's think about this Edgerrin Cooper thing, because when I think of him, all I hear is Kyle Wallace from KBN going, "I love Coop."
Yes.
So like maybe we all throw it's plus 20,000. Everyone throws in $5, and that way when we're watching Edgerrin Cooper take a scoop and score to the house on a Sunday, it's a lot more interesting for all of us. I think there are small things like that to root for your guys are a ton of fun. I love it.
What makes a bet like this fun too is I would save for injury, almost guarantee these odds plummet as he makes it onto the field into the regular season, as he starts to make the impact that we all think he can. Like there could be a point coming up in the season where he's like plus 5,000, and you're looking around going, I got the best odds in the world. There's hope. There's belief here.
There is.
He's not that far off. He's a top 20 guy for this. The last thing I want to do before we go to break here and give our best bets of the night.
Man, I'm excited for I did so much research today.
I saw that. You gave me a little tease on what you're looking at. I was a little shocked by it.
Oh, everyone is going to be shocked by even the sport that I tell everyone my best bet is coming for.
There are 2 season-long preps for each, for Jordan Love and one for Josh Jacobs. These are Jordan Love's passing numbers at over 3,600.5 and a half yards passing, and then also his passing touchdowns. You get the over 24.5 passing touchdowns at minus 121. The under for that 24.5 is plus 100. I love both of these numbers. I think a full season of Jordan Love, he absolutely cruises over 3,600 passing yards with relative ease. I'm talking week 14, 15, we're looking at it and laughing and waiting to cash our tickets here at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. The passing touchdowns of over 25.5, I'm also extremely confident in. I still think Josh Jacobs is going to be a major factor in the offense, but the addition on the offensive line, the investment they've made, signing Aaron Banks, drafting Anthony Belton, and then solidifying the guys they have there with, obviously, Matthew Golden, Savion Williams, and just improvement from some of the guys who have been there for a while. I think the Packers want to pass the ball more. I think they're perfectly happy running it. But in an ideal world, they're getting bigger chunk plays, and they're being a better attacking offense. So both of those numbers...
On that, just the same with you,
fan of.
I'm a huge fan of it. I think this year the offense is going to be predicated on getting guys, especially some of the speed, the ball in space, right?
Yes.
You got Jaden Reed, you got Matthew Golden, Tucker Kraft refuses to get canceled. You get those guys the ball in the middle of the field, 15, 25 yards out. They're going to get to the goal line if they punch it in. Josh Jacobs' numbers obviously will go down from those 2-yard touchdowns that we grew so accustomed to last year, but 24.5, I would take the over on that one all day for Jordan Love touchdowns. And then Josh, you're a smart guy. 3,600 divided by 17. I had to punch it in because I'm not a smart guy.
I did this math already.
211?
Yeah.
He has to average 211 yards a game to get the over here?
Yes.
Yeah, sign me up. Sign me up for that one.
Yeah, and the interesting thing, as bullish as I am on Jordan Love hitting both his passing yards and touchdowns over, I still like the Josh Jacobs number at 1,050.5 yards as well. I think both of those things can happen, and the Packers would have to be a top 10 offense. I think that's well within the range of outcomes. I do think the season might not go 13, 14 wins, but to have an offense in the top 10 that, probably has an off game here or two in big moments, but 1,000 yards for Josh, he's going to get the ball. We don't know what Marshawn Lloyd is. We know they want to use him, but when push comes to shove, Who do you think's going to win the battle of who should be getting the ball the most and in the highest pressure situations?
So the guy who pretty much led the NFL in rushing last year.
Exactly. So,
like, casually, too, the Packers, they are who they are. Defensively, this team is going to get into some shootouts.
Yes.
The team is going to have to score a lot of points to win a lot of
No
games.
Jair Alexander, as we talked about last segment.
No Jair, no pass rush, a lot of things.
Yes.
Yeah, they're going to be in a spot where they're going to put up some big numbers. I'd go over on all of them.
All right, that'll do it for our Packers talk this week. Coming up next, we have
my best
TC's.
bet might be on the Packers. You never know.
We have TC's special best bet of the week.
Special.
And we'll send you out for a brief break. This is the Weekly Wager from Potawatomi Sportsbook.
More bets coming up. This is the Weekly Wager on 94.5 ESPN. The 2015 Wisconsin men's hoops team gave us all a march to remember.
There will be no undefeated champion on Wisconsin with an unbelievable stretch drive to the championship game.
On June 26th, enjoy an intimate celebration with the stars of the run with Made 'em Believe. Presented by M3 Insurance. World-class expertise and individual attention. Tickets are on sale now at uwhoops2015.com. Made 'em Believe, June 26th at the Orpheum Theater in Madison.
Whether you're a local who wants to enjoy a night out or you're planning to visit Milwaukee, enjoy an artfully stylish experience at St. Kate the Arts Hotel, conveniently located in the heart of downtown Milwaukee's Theater District. With deluxe accommodations, culinary creativity, on-site art galleries, artist in residence, and nightly live music, you'll enjoy every element of your stay at St. Kate. Learn more and book your stay at stkatearts.com.
The Bog in Saukville is Ozaki County's best golf experience. 18 championship holes designed by legendary golfer Arnold Palmer cater to golfers of all skill levels. Settled amongst over 250 acres of beautiful private land, the Bog offers a truly unforgettable golf experience. Play the finest greens of Wisconsin, and after your round, have a signature cocktail while enjoying our Friday fish fry from the clubhouse overlooking the 18th green. It's time to golf, Wisconsin. It's time to enjoy the Bog.
This is Kevin Moret from Mentality. Every day is a silent competition, and with testosterone dropping 1% annually, you're fighting an uphill battle. Your colleagues notice when you lose your edge, your partner senses when your confidence wavers, and without addressing low T, you're set up to fail. No willpower can overcome this hormonal deficit. Mentality's FDA-approved treatments have shown a 30% increase in testosterone levels. Don't let low T define you. Reclaim your power at mentalityhealth.com/radio. That's mentalityhealth.com/radio.
My house has a new glow. I love my windows. Universal Windows Direct.
Hey, it's Kyle Walsh, and right now UWD is running their home improvement season sale. Payments as low as $99 a month or no payments and no interest for an entire year. Call 414-410-2000 or go to universalwindowsdirect.com.
I love my windows. They've got that brand new home effect. Universal Windows Direct.
Stay up to date on the Green and Gold all off-season. The Green and Gold Fix podcast is brought to you by Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Luxury stay, elite play, unwind in sophisticated comfort. Win big, dine, and experience the events in Milwaukee.
Your current car, soon to be your old car. A new car? Better start looking. But you've got this, just like Associated Bank's got you with free credit score and score monitoring on most new consumer checking accounts. Because when you know you need to make a big purchase, knowing your credit score puts you in the driver's seat. You've got this with free credit monitor from Associated Bank. See associatedbank.com/checking or ask a banker for details. Member FDIC.
Save big money on your outdoor project at Menards. We make landscaping simple with our free, easy-to-use design program and step-by-step project guides. Plus, Menards has the largest in-stock selection of concrete landscape block at the best prices. Save big on everything when you shop at Menards. Visit us in-store or on menards.com to see our full selection of landscape blocks and get your outdoor project started today.
Save big money at Menards.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel neglected or unloved? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
This is the Weekly Wager live from Potawatomi Sportsbook on 94.5 ESPN and at ESPN Milwaukee on YouTube.
Weekly Wager, back with you. I'm Josh DiMaggio alongside my pal Tony Cartagena here. Spent a little time talking Brewers, a little NFL. It's time now for the segment we do every single week. That is our best bets of the show. TC, you teased it. You gave me a little taste into what you might be looking into. I was surprised. I didn't know you paid attention to this sport. I'm not talking about lacrosse. I'm not talking about ping pong, Formula One.
Oh, that show on Netflix is pretty good.
But without further ado, what do you got for us today?
All right, my best bet. It's in the future, and I say that because, I didn't want to do something that's, something current. I want to get brought back onto the show when I am eventually right.
Proven right and vindicated.
And I wanted to go off the beaten path a little bit, so I started looking at the futures for golf.
Okay.
Came across the Open Championship.
Yes.
That takes place July 13th through the 20th. Obviously, that's when the practice rounds start. It's going to be at the Royal Portrush Golf Club in Northern Ireland. That's important. Let me tell you why.
You're a big fan of Portrush?
I'm big in Portrush in Ireland. But I was looking at some of the numbers at the Potawatomi Sportsbook, right?
Yes.
And I came across a guy we're all very familiar with, Brooks Koepka.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't been playing great. He missed the cut in 2 majors this year, but finished tied for 12th at the U.S. Open.
Say he was on the leaderboard. He was competing for a while early in the weekend, last weekend.
Yep, he's had a decent season or 2025 calendar year. A couple top 2, or I think finished second in a tournament, right?
Yep.
He's plus 3,300 in the Open Championship. His best finish ever at an Open Championship, 2019. Where was it? Royal Portrush. He finished tied for 4th. If I am just throwing some dollars on golf and I'm looking ahead at the last major of the year, Brooks Koepka plus 3,300 in the Open Championship. Mark me down. Save this segment, Chris Larson, back at the studio. And when I am correct, I want to be brought back onto the show and have Gabe Neitzel and Steven Watson and the On the Tee guys tell me congratulations and good job.
Here's my promise. If Brooks Koepka does win the Open,
face tattoo,
I will guarantee you at least a segment of gloating on a future Weekly Wager.
That's all I can ask for. Right there, a future segment of radio time if my plus 3,300 on Brooks Koepka to win the Open Championship this year comes through. I love it.
All right, I'm going to stick to a little more conventional of a bet. That's going to be
Live a little.
That's going to be tonight's game between the Los Angeles Dodgers and the San Diego Padres. I like the under 9.5 runs scored in that game. That number, you can get it at minus 112. I just like whenever things go high and totals get high and numbers get high, I like to go on the under. I do think typically when you look at series, the game 2 typically is a number that does see a decrease over the results that happened earlier in the series. So in the second game of the series, I am going to take the under in that game. There is still time to get that bet in. As you know, you got quite some time to get TC's open bet in as well.
Did I screw up the segment? Was this supposed to be more current? Because I did have a current one, and that's placing a bet on the WNBA and the Phoenix Mercury tonight are minus.
During our finally weekly wager, there are no rules.
All right, cool.
You can bet however you'd like.
I'll see you July 20th when I'm collecting my plus 3,300 on our guy Brooks.
All right, that's going to do it for us tonight. I want to give a big thank you to the team here at Potawatomi, Haley, Louise, Sarah. They have been gracious hosts. Everyone here has been wonderful. To our marketing team that has showed up and supported us every single week, you've been wonderful. We'll be back coming up in August. For Greg Matzik, for Ben Bruss, for Jen Latta, I'm Josh DiMaggio. He's TC. It's been a lot of fun. ESPN National coming up next.
It's one call, that's all with Gruber Law Offices. If your loved one is ever injured in an accident, do not hesitate to make one call, that's all to Gruber Law Offices because they stand up